Learning English in New York, my journey. Hello, my name is Jake, and I'm learning English. Let me share my story with you. I traveled to New York to improve my English, and this journey changed my life. It was a beautiful summer day when I took a train to the city. On the train, I sat across from two women who spoke English. I was just a beginner, so I didn't understand much. But I wanted to practice. I used simple words to talk to them, and they understood me. That made me so happy. We talked for about 10 minutes. Before I left, they gave me their phone number and invited me to visit them in the U.S. After that, I worked hard on my English. Every day, I translated texts and watched English movies. In 6 months, my English improved a lot, but I wanted to learn more. So, I decided to study in New York. On my first day of school, I met my teacher and classmates. My teacher was a kind and young lady. She asked us how we learned English. Then, she shared an important lesson. The best way to learn a language is to use it. She said we didn't need to memorize grammar rules or study textbooks all day. Instead, we needed to speak, listen, and practice English as much as possible. This was perfect for me because I didn't like studying from books. She explained that many students focus too much on grammar and vocabulary, but don't actually use English to communicate. The best way to learn is by speaking and listening. So, in our class, we spoke a lot. We talked about our hobbies, daily activities, and interests. I really enjoyed it. How to learn new words. The next day at school, a student asked an interesting question. What is the best way to learn new words? Our teacher gave a simple answer. Reading. She explained that people who read every day learn faster than those who don't. She suggested reading for 30 minutes daily. But the most important thing is to read something interesting. It could be a story, an article, or anything related to your hobbies. She also shared a useful tip. When you see a new word, don't stop and write it down. Just check its meaning in a dictionary and keep reading. This helps you stay focused on understanding the text. Over time, you will naturally remember new words. Reading also helps you learn how words connect in a sentence. Later that day, we talked about jobs for students in the U.S. I wanted to find work, so my classmates suggested visiting a job center. After school, I went there. The lady at the job center told me I could work as a cleaner or a waiter. I had no experience, but she said my English was good enough to talk to customers. I was excited. I could start my job on Thursday. This was a great way to practice English while working. If you want to learn new words quickly, read for 30 minutes every day. How to improve your pronunciation. On Wednesday, another student in our class shared a problem. He was from Japan and felt shy because his pronunciation wasn't good. He understood English well, but didn't feel confident speaking. Our teacher explained that pronunciation problems happen because we use our mouth muscles the same way we do in our native language. But English sounds are different. She told us that many learners have accents, and that's okay. However, if we want to improve pronunciation, we need to practice speaking out loud and train our mouth muscles. She also promised to teach us a special technique to help with pronunciation. I was excited to learn more. How to improve your English with the shadowing technique. Shadowing is a great way to improve your English pronunciation. It is a simple but powerful method. When you do shadowing, you listen to a native speaker and repeat what they say at the same time. This is how children learn their first language. They listen to their parents, copy their words, and repeat them many times. Over time, their pronunciation becomes perfect. You can use the same method to improve your English. Choose a video or audio that is not too fast and is easy to understand. Listen carefully and try to copy the speaker as closely as possible. At my school, our teacher showed us a YouTube video that explained shadowing well. After watching, we all practiced shadowing for 3 minutes. It was a great exercise. Shadowing is also useful if you're preparing for a presentation. Before your speech, find a quiet place and practice shadowing for about 10 minutes. You will notice that your pronunciation improves and you feel more confident when speaking. Before this lesson, I had never heard of shadowing. I found it very interesting. After class, I went to the school reception to ask if there were any sports activities. The receptionist told me there was a football team and their training was at 5 p.m. I love sports, so I decided to join. At training, I met players from different countries: Brazil, Japan, Russia, Spain, Argentina, and Italy. It was a great experience, and I felt happy that my time in New York was starting well. A new student's secret to fluent English. The next day at school, we had a new student named Monica. She was from Italy. Our teacher already knew her because Monica had joined a beginner's class last summer for 2 weeks. When Monica spoke, her English was clear and fluent. Our teacher praised her and asked if she had learned English at a school in Italy. Monica surprised everyone by saying, "No, I learn English at home. I use shadowing, reading, and another method called thinking aloud. I also try to think in English instead of Italian." Thinking aloud was new to me, so I asked the teacher what it meant. She explained that it is a powerful technique where you say your thoughts out loud in English. It might feel strange at first, but it helps you improve quickly. Monica shared her experience. At first, it was difficult. I could only say simple sentences like, "I can speak English. I want to improve. I need to practice every day." My thinking in Italian was complicated, so I had to find simple ways to express myself in English. But after some time, it became natural. One day, I met an Australian traveler in Italy. We had a conversation, and I realized I didn't need to translate in my head. Thinking aloud had trained my brain to speak English directly. Hearing Monica's story inspired me to try thinking aloud myself. How to learn English grammar the natural way. After school, I started training for my new job at a cafe. I was nervous because I had no experience. But my boss, who was only 25 years old, was very helpful. She showed me how to make coffee, clean the dishes, and talk to customers. I learned quickly, and by the second day, I could do many tasks on my own. At school the next day, a student asked, "How can I learn grammar?" Sometimes I don't know if I'm speaking correctly. Our teacher explained that there are 2 types of English learners. Some want to speak English fluently, while others need English for exams. If you want to speak fluently, you don't need to study grammar too much. Just like when you learned your first language, you can learn English grammar naturally by reading and listening. Books and audio have correct grammar, so the more you read and listen, the better your grammar will become. Shadowing also helps with grammar because you copy correct sentences without thinking about the rules. However, if you want to study grammar, there are useful websites that show important rules for different levels. If you are preparing for an exam, it is best to practice with past test papers. This answer made me happy because I don't like studying grammar. I learn English to speak, not to pass an exam. Now I know that I can improve my grammar by reading books. Testing your English progress. On Monday, our teacher asked us what we did over the weekend. I told her I had worked at the cafe and practiced speaking with customers. A girl in my class noticed something and said, "Your voice sounds different. Your pronunciation is much better than last week." I smiled and said, "Thank you." I practiced shadowing on Saturday evening and all day Sunday. I try to sound like a native speaker. It's not perfect yet, but I can already hear a big difference. Our teacher asked if other students had tried shadowing. 3 students said yes. One of them, a boy from South Korea, also liked this technique. Another student said she tried, but felt pain in her mouth after 5 minutes. She also found it hard to keep up with the recording. Our teacher explained, if your mouth hurts after 5 minutes, you're doing it right. Your mouth muscles need to get used to this new way of speaking, just like training at the gym. Start with 5 minutes, take a break, and then continue. With practice, it will become easier. Later, I visited a website where I could test how many English words I knew. My result was 2,100 words. Most students in my class have between 2,000 and 2,200 words, except for Monica and the South Korean student, who had 2,500. Our teacher told us, now you know your level. You should start learning grammar at the right level and test your progress every month. How to handle mistakes when speaking English. On Tuesday, a student asked our teacher, what should I do when I make mistakes while speaking English? How to speak English without fear of mistakes. Many people want to speak English with others, but they are afraid of making mistakes. They don't want to feel embarrassed. If this sounds like you, don't worry. You're not alone. Many English learners feel the same way. But today, I want to tell you something important. Making mistakes is a natural part of learning. Think about how children learn their first language. They don't worry about mistakes. They just try to speak. At first, they say things incorrectly, but they keep going. By the time they're 4 or 5 years old, they can speak fluently. You could do the same with English. I am also learning a new language, Spanish. When I speak Spanish, I don't worry about making mistakes. My goal is to express my ideas. I know that if I keep reading, listening, and practicing, my Spanish will improve. It's the same with English. The more you use it, the better you will become. Some people want to speak perfectly from the beginning, but that's not possible. Learning English is like learning to play an instrument. At first, it's not perfect. You make mistakes. But if you practice every day, you will improve. Mistakes are not failures. They are steps toward success. So, how can you improve and make fewer mistakes? The best way is to read a lot and practice shadowing. Shadowing means listening to native speakers and repeating what they say. When you read, try reading out loud. This helps you get used to the sound of English and improves your speaking skills. Even native English speakers make mistakes. Famous people, business leaders, and politicians sometimes say things incorrectly. But do they stop talking? No. They focus on their message, not their mistakes. You should do the same. The key to fluency is to use English every day. Don't wait until you feel ready or perfect. Start speaking now. The more you practice, the more natural it will feel. So go ahead, speak with confidence, and don't be afraid of mistakes. Let's talk about English levels. We'll start with the lowest level, where you know about 1,000 words. At this level, you can talk about simple, everyday things. Your sentences are short, usually 4 words long. Speaking is slow, but you can still have a basic conversation with people who are patient. When you reach 2,000 words, conversations become easier. Your sentences are longer, and you can talk about many things in your life, your family, hobbies, job, and travel. Sometimes you may struggle with deeper topics, but this level is enough for daily conversations. If you want to have deeper discussions on many subjects, learning 3,000 words is a great goal. Of course, knowing more words will help you communicate better, but 3,000 words are usually enough to talk about almost anything. One day, I was at work when 2 ladies came to our cafe. They knew about 1,000 words in English. My boss spoke to them using simple sentences, and they had a nice conversation. Later, when they came back with their friends, it was my turn to serve them. I spoke slowly and used easy words. They understood me, and it felt great. They told me they were tourists from Japan and liked our cafe because people there understood them. If you want to communicate well in English, learning 3,000 words is a good goal. What to do when you are shy? One day at school, a student asked, "I am very shy when I speak English. Can you help me?" Our teacher said, "It's normal to feel shy when speaking a new language. The fear of making mistakes is high." I was also shy when I started learning a foreign language. I was afraid of mistakes and felt stupid when I made one. But now, I focus on communication. She continued, "I am learning Spanish, and sometimes I still make mistakes. Sometimes my face turns red, but I keep speaking. I know that only by using the language can I improve." Many students think they must speak like a native speaker, with perfect pronunciation and grammar, to say they know English. But that's not true. If you know 2,000 words, you've already made great progress. Don't be too hard on yourself. Keep practicing, and your confidence will grow. Another student asked, "What if I don't know a word while speaking? I stop and feel stupid." Our teacher said, "If you don't know a word, describe it with the words you do know." For example, if you forget the word key, you can say a small thing that opens a door. This skill is important. Train yourself to describe words every day. You can only learn English by using it. It's okay to be shy, but don't let it stop you. Who is talented? On Friday, we had a new student, Sophia. She said, "I don't have a talent for languages. My sister learns English very fast, but it's hard for me." Our teacher asked, "Do you think you have a talent for learning languages? Raise your hand if you do." No one raised their hand. Then she smiled and said, "You all have a talent for learning languages. You already learned your native language, didn't you? That means you can learn another one." She explained, "Some people learn languages faster. Maybe Sophia's sister is one of them. But don't compare yourself to others. Maybe you're more talented in other things, sports, music, cooking. We are all different, and that's beautiful. Believe in yourself, and learning English will be easier." Her words helped us a lot. I play football and tennis well, and now I know I can also learn English. How to speak fluently. On Monday, our teacher asked about the school party. A student said, "It was fun. 2 boys from Brazil were there. They didn't know many words, but they spoke fluently. They made jokes and talked a lot." Our teacher said, "Fluent speaking is not about speaking fast or knowing many words. It means speaking without long pauses. Some people do it with just 1,000 words. Others know 3,000 words but struggle to speak fluently. To be fluent, you must practice speaking. Speaking is like playing an instrument. You must train the connection between your brain and mouth. Some people know the right words, but can't say them quickly because they don't practice enough. If you want to be fluent, speak for at least 30 minutes a day. Talk to a real person, or if you're alone, speak aloud to yourself. The more you practice, the easier it gets. If you want to speak fluently, practice every day. What's the best school? A student asked. "I'm going home soon and want to continue studying English. How do I find a good school?" Our teacher said, "If you read, listen, and speak a lot, you don't need a school. You can learn naturally. But if you want a school, test yourself before and after 5 lessons. If you're learning new words and enjoying the lessons, it's a good school. Most importantly, enjoy learning English." How to get information. One day, Monica asked, "Teacher, how do you know so much about learning languages?" Our teacher said, "I've been teaching for 7 years. I observe what works and what doesn't. I also read and test new methods. Sometimes I ask the universe for answers. Monica was curious. How do you ask the universe? Our teacher smiled. I go to my favorite park, relax, and ask my question. Sometimes the answer comes as a new idea. Sometimes someone says something that gives me the answer. We found this very interesting. Maybe one day I will try it too. Summary. A student asked, "Can you give us simple rules for learning English?" Our teacher said, "Yes. If you want to speak English well, do 3 things every day: read, listen, and speak. Spend equal time on each, at least 30 minutes each day. Read interesting stories, listen to audiobooks or news, and speak as much as possible. You don't need to study grammar too much. Use English, and you will improve naturally. If you want to learn English well, use it every day.